All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week in Base Hit. I might have something to talk about, but Clone, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Good. These things are tight. This is a this is that oof, that kind of rings your bell. This is an official batting helmet from my man, the greatest rookie ever to play baseball, Jackson Churio, number 11. Just became the youngest player in Major League Baseball history to go 2020 in his rookie season. Rookie phenom, Milwaukee Brewer, Jackson Turing. There you go. What do you think?
It's awesome.
Yeah. It looks a little goofy on my head. I don't look like a baseball
The
player either.
the helmet itself looks good. I'm gonna admit that it does look a little goofy on your head.
Yeah, it looks a little awkward. I don't know.
I'm not sure that it's the helmet's fault, but
Yeah, it's going to give me a headache. So we'll
there, that
switch
looks
to this. There we go. Does that look goofy?
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. This is this is like when we landed Prince Fielder, when we landed Robin Yount. It was a big deal for the Brewers fans out there, of which there might not be any, but I love you anyway.
That's got to be what. That's because of the changes, the bringing stolen bases back, right?
No, it's because he's awesome.
Well, it's
That's
because
it.
he's awesome too, but
Yeah.
these clubs have come back in a way that they
It's
hadn't been for a while.
it's much baseball is very fun to watch this year. It could be a little bit more. It feels like they took away whatever juice ball they had a couple years ago, but so there could be a little more action. But overall, yes, baseball is very fun, especially on the bases. There's a lot more. It's like MLB changed their base running slider from like 4 to an 8. There's a lot of people taking extra bases. There's a lot of first to third on singles that are happening that didn't used to happen. There's a lot of hustle doubles happening this year that didn't used to happen. So yeah, it's fun.
If he doesn't get hurt, Shohei's going to get 50-50, right?
He could get 50-50. He could be the
That's
first
pretty.
player since my beloved Jose Canseco got 40-40 to break that type of record. Yeah. Which
That's
is
awesome.
insane. It almost makes you not want him to pitch again. It's like if he's that good as a hitter, like maybe we just leave him off the mound. But
Yeah.
he was Cy Young adjacent.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
man.
know, man.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I also uh
Yep.
no, I'll leave that for a future thing. But I do want to share one card. I actually have my Jackson Churio 1-of-1 super fractor from his rookie year. Can't really see how golden and beautiful that is, but
I'm happy for you.
PSA 10. It's a good card. It's a real good card.
It's awesome.
Yep. All right. What's going on this week in base hit?
I got something to talk about, but you don't want to stick with the Brewers?
I mean, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well,
I'll bring it back to the Brewers somehow.
we've got that's a good call.
Yeah.
We have release coming out next week, and some of it is stuff that's just going to test leagues, the huge UI changes that we have coming, but then there's some stuff that people are going to see, and we haven't really talked about, and we've talked about the free agency stuff, but one of the changes that's coming, which it'll depend on your experience, but in trades, you're going to be able to have multiple trades out there for the same guy. You're not going to have to hold up, and it was kind of a seemed like a small change when we were talking about it, and then the more we started thinking about it,
You can't really understate how impactful it could be.
yeah. So then that just made me think about trades in general. I just want to talk about trades, man.
Yeah.
Because
And just so everybody's clear, what that means is the game always capped you on being able to do things based on using one player could only be available for a trade at one time. Instead, you could put them out for 10 trades, and only the first one to process, you're just gonna have to deal with it. So if it's not the best of the bunch, but it allows you in leagues to move quicker on trades that is something that we've never had before, which is I can't wait for it. It's going to be great for those medium speed leagues to make moves.
Yeah, I think you're right. And some people, trades are like there's a lot of feelings about trades. Some people love trading, some people hate trading. Uh, we'd at least like to make it easier to facilitate trades. We added messages to it, we've added text to it. I mean, I think it has gotten better, but I think this is gonna help too. I
Yep.
will admit,
Yep.
like back in the day, I used to trade as much as anybody. I was working the
You were never afraid to pull the trigger on a big trade. That's for
Yep.
sure.
I was
Yeah.
working conversations with
Working the phones.
the entire. I was working the phones. I was working conversations with everybody all the time. The whole idea was everybody's for sale at all times because I definitely believe that you know being willing to trade like the monster guys is how you get value. But and I have slowed way down on that. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's game changes, but also partly it's I don't want to go through that anymore. But
But when you did, like I've called you the GOAT before, and I truly believe that nobody's ever played the game at a level that you were playing it back from 2005 to like 2000, what, 7 or 8, 9, something like that. Like there was like a 4-year stretch where you were as unstoppable as anybody in the most active league that the game has ever produced. And
let's
it was
just talk about that. Let's
because
talk
you were
about that.
constantly making huge deals.
Yeah, and people, well, this is the other part of
Huge
why
deals.
it's loaded when people talk about trades, right? Because it depends on who you talk to. People will say that I was ripping people off or whatever else, but I would like to suggest that if you go back, it was the bulk, it was the amount of trades that I was making. And again, and I was trading back in and trading back out. So it was, if I had a monster, I never had a player that like I had for more than 5 seasons probably. So if a guy was a monster, I'd trade him for value and then
You
I'd buy
know,
back in with a ton of value.
you know, we never really thought your trades were lopsided. We were just hating on you because you kept winning and we couldn't figure out why.
Oh, I don't know.
That is
Hey,
definitely true. Like there were a couple trades where like I felt like I got the better end of it with you. Like certainly the David Smart Fat
absolutely.
Bob trade. But like the best trade that I think was ever made was when I got Willie Waltz, but then the #1 overall turned into Lewis Dyer, who was an equal superstar, uh, uh, first
Yeah.
overall pick, and both teams won World Series because of it.
And that's another guy, and that was a monster guy that I traded away before he had to.
Yep.
I'd have to go back. I did see I have to look at the data. After we added the messaging, being able to send messages back and forth in trades recently, like I saw
And
like
counter offers.
and counter offers, yep.
Yeah.
Trade and text trade activity was back up to like the
Yep.
highest it had been a month in 2 years or 3 years.
Let's
I
just say
haven't
pre-pandemic levels, because that is
pre
apparently the measure of
pre-pandemic
everything.
level, yes. So this might help too. But then you've got other people too that hate trading, which I understand. Like I've also at some point we need to add it, but a league option for no trades if you want. Maybe that's sacrilege to you,
Really?
but some
Yeah.
people you don't like that
Uh,
idea.
but do you think people hate trades because they hate trades, or because we haven't silver plattered it enough, and that's like some of the stuff we're working on will make it easier for people to accomplish trades?
Uh, well, what do you mean?
Well,
Oh,
I
that
mean,
it's
like,
too
like,
difficult?
yeah, like it's difficult, either because of the activity of the league or because there's not really a push to actively put up trade blocks, or like this thing because it was too much of a pain in the ass where you couldn't float a player out in multiple trade offers. Like the easier we make it, I honestly think the more fun it will be and the more people will like to trade, because trading's awesome.
It can be, but I think that there's also
People get frustrated by the lopsided offers, though. That's
there's
probably the biggest annoyance.
lopsided offers that and it's what people like, right? So like we talked about it last week or a couple weeks ago. Of we believe in team building, whereas other people might be more interested in game things, whatever. I think there's people that really like drafting or free agency and don't want to deal with the trade part of it. They don't want to have to negotiate with somebody, and they also don't want to feel like they're going to fall behind because
Yeah.
somebody else in the league is going to get ahead on the trade market. And
I,
I totally understand that.
I definitely know there are people that like just actually get anxiety from the negotiation part of it. They feel either pressured or they don't want to say no, or they're just annoyed by the offers. That's definitely a thing for sure. Yeah.
Mhm. And we
Yeah.
have Jelly will be happy. I'll mention we in TCL they added a live trade thread because there was the worries about lopsided trades. And I don't know if all the leagues do it, but the whole idea was to try to make trade talks public so that you could get some more even prices going around,
I
and
was
you would
pretty
know.
resistant to that initially, but it was a clear improvement. It definitely helped.
It's a good idea. There's the problem is when it becomes everybody just critiquing everybody else's like, what the hell is that?
I
Or
mean, it does help prevent the person that makes lopsided trade offers because they get called out right away. And so it's like the community prevents like some of that stuff. But
if you're an active
actually
enough
what I
league,
thought you were
if you're
going to
an
say,
if you're an active enough league, you should consider putting one of those in your league forums or whatever else to have a public trade block each season so that it's going around instead of everybody having to have personal. It's nice to have the personal conversations, but if you're actively trying to get people into the trade market, it's something to consider. Anyway, keep going.
yeah, no, because it's well, I was going to say something similar. It's always the top of the forum, so it keeps trading as a top of mind thing. It gets people's trade blocks out there in a conversational aspect, which is much easier than doing it through the game in many ways. And when a trade happens one-on-one behind the scenes, and somebody could have gotten better value, that becomes part of the discussion of the trade thread, so that like it kind of forces the conversation a little bit. So I think it's overall good all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I also, the other thing that TCL does that I think is good is we have variable cap, which if we haven't talked about in leagues, it's they have 60 million hard cap, and then it goes up to 75 later in the season. So all of a sudden, all the teams, the hard cap keeps it so people aren't making super teams, stockpiling, whatever. But then you have this time in the season when you have extra space that you could make trades if you want. And I am currently in a situation where I'm trying to make a trade
And you can
where
bolster
I'm
your
make a
bullpen
run. Uh,
with free agency.
Oh, you can get free agents too, but it also is another thing for leagues to try out. It's manually done, but it's a way to try to add some trade market in later in the season. It's interesting.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. I think that's always been a good move too. Because ultimately leagues are more fun when there's activity. That's why people like hard cap. That's why people like full league drafts. That's why, all that happened. And so like patterning your rules and your forum communication around whatever elicits the most activity almost always will be a good decision.
it's true. Now you're giving me the other argument about. Now's my argument against the live trade block is that I met so many people from the one-on-one conversations about trades over the years. Even if trades didn't go through, that's how I got to know all these people.
Yeah, but you were an anomaly. Most people weren't on the phones like you were.
Maybe, but
You're a
a good
one of
way
one clone.
to maybe back in the old days. But thank you for remembering.
Yeah,
The team.
you used to look people up on ICQ.
No, I don't even know
A
what the hell.
messenger. We did use a messenger all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, we did,
Yeah,
which is um
that's funny.
Anyway, trades. Just thinking about it. So we do have that trade change
Trades.
next week for people that like trades.
This will be good for you.
Yep.
Yep.
Don't go spamming people with bad trades, but it's going to give you some additional options. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Bad trades. If you think somebody's just going to accidentally click accept on a bad trade, you're a bad person. Don't do it, because you're either trying to screw over a new person or you're insulting a good person. You're never going to win doing lopsided trades. But if you're doing it in hopes of like getting a counter offer, then just put that in the notes. That's why we added those notes. Like you're saying, this is just a starting point. I actually got a trade offer like that the other day where it was lopsided, but the guy just said, this is just a starting point. I don't know who you want to move. And it was perfect. We ended up with a deal.
really,
Yeah. So like that, I thought that was good. So use those notes in there. That is helpful to understand what the other person's objective is.
I have no idea how much time we have.
We're a minute over.
All right,
but-
give me a Brewers trade from the past. What's the best or worst Brewers trade from the past?
Well, I mean, the most recent one, great trade is that we had a three-way trade with the Braves and I think it was the Athletics that got Sean Murphy to the Braves, the catcher, and got William Contreras to us, who's now an all-star, and he still has 4 more years of control. And he's, best hitting catcher in the league. It's one of the best trades they've made in years and years. I still don't know why the Braves did it. Sean Murphy, great catcher, but it just William Contreras, like sky high potential. And now he plays for the Brewers, and he's been at the center of some of the best moments of this season. And he's like a team leader now. And he's part of the reason that the Brewers have 5 starters that are all overperforming right now too. So
I'm happy for you.
thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to let you live through that. All right, man.
Yep. And you tied it to trade, so you're staying on brand.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for letting me talk about Churio too. All right. I wouldn't trade BaseHit for the world, but I would trade this week because I didn't have a great week in BaseHit. So next week, we're going to be talking about me being in a World Series or something. Until next week, have a great week. I hope you make a trade. Go make a trade. We'll talk about it next week. All right. We're out of here.